Hey guys, welcome back to Ashar Books. Today I'm going to be talking about used bookstores, and I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I absolutely love used bookstores and I think everybody should be frequenting them on the regular. So if you guys have watched my videos before, especially my book hauls, you probably realize that I love used bookstores and I buy a lot of my books from used bookstores. Probably I'd say like the majority of my books, at least recently, have been coming from used bookstores. Also, how many times can I say that word? Anyways, so I thought I would make a video kind of talking about my love for them, why I like them, and kind of encouraging those of you who maybe don't go to them to give them a chance. So my first reason is pretty cut and dry, and that is that they are cheaper. Books are cheaper at a used bookstore because they're used. You know, myself, like I'm sure a lot of others out there, I'm on a budget, and you know, if I have a certain amount of money I can spend on books and I can get 5 for the price of 1 at a used bookstore compared to, you know, Barnes & Noble, I'm gonna go to the used bookstore. So for me, I just really love the idea of trading in books. Lately, I've really been utilizing that feature of my used bookstore, and that if I don't like the book or I don't want the book anymore, it can get a new home if I trade it in. And I love that you can get credit. At my used bookstore, you can get either credit or cash, like money. I usually always get credit just because I know I'm gonna be back, so I might as well just get the credit. I just think it's a beautiful like life cycle of books, you know, just because you don't want the book anymore, someone else can get some pleasure out of it. And I think it's an amazing way for people to not just throw away books, but to give them to someone who could like them more than you can. Obviously, I love Barnes & Noble and like Amazon as much as the next person, and I do still buy from there. But I will say, when I look at how much I get for my money from a used bookstore and how much you get from a new bookstore, it's just hard to compete with that. The second reason that I love used bookstores is that you can find some really cool hidden treasures and some older titles. So a lot of used bookstores, at least the ones I've been to, have a lot of different kinds of books, a very big diversity, even within certain genres. You know, you can find books that are current, they came out last month, people turned in already, and you can find books that came out in like 1984. So I think it's really cool to kind of discover new titles that way, to kind of just browse and see what is there. And for some reason, I just enjoy doing that more sometimes in a used bookstore than a new one. I don't know if maybe it's because they're a bit cheaper, so I'm willing to take more of a chance on a book than I would if it was full price. But I just think it's so cool. I love finding kind of older titles that maybe people aren't talking about, and I think it's a really cool way to do it. My third reason kind of relates to that one, and is that I love finding kind of like little notes in the books that I get from used bookstores, or where people have signed the books to people if they were like a gift at one point. Especially in some of I collect some like older books from, you know, a long time ago, from like 1900. I have a couple and that are pretty old, and I love when they have just beautiful inscriptions and they're so touching, and it's just, you can't beat that. It makes you feel like you're part of like history. And aside from that though, even more recent books, if people have kind of annotated or written in their books, that doesn't actually bother me too much if it's a used book. Obviously if it's kind of like defaced or something, maybe not, but if it's just like little notes or even just a note in the front or something, you're not gonna really get that from a new bookstore. So I think that's just one other way that used bookstores can be fantastic. My fourth reason why I love used bookstores, and really just used books in general, is that the spines are already cracked. I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but how many of you have sat out there reading, especially a mass market paperback, like this, like barely opening it because you don't want to be the one to crack that spine? I know I have, and especially since I've been reading more of the like mass market paperbacks in the past couple of years, it drives me crazy. But if you go to a used bookstore, a lot of the times they're already not, you know, creased, not necessarily broken, but they're already creased, they already have wear and tear. Like, I don't feel at all bad for kind of giving that book a little more love because it's already has some. So whereas if I buy a new book, I'm definitely a lot more delicate with the book, definitely want to spend more time keeping it looking perfect. And so I don't know, that might just be me and my mentality, but like I actually kind of like it when I get a book from a used bookstore and it has wear and tear on it, because it makes it feel like it's okay if I do something to it on accident. So that's just a personal preference, but it's very freeing to be able to open your book the entire way And my fifth and final reason that I love used bookstores is they just seem to have a lot of charm that I think some of the newer bookstores just don't have. They usually are smaller, they're usually kind of crammed full of things. I mean, at least in the one I go to, like, it is a labyrinth and I get lost on the regular and I go there all the time. So I think it's just fun to walk around in. Typically the people working there are just absolute book lovers and they're really just kind of interesting people. I think also in used bookstores you have very like hardcore book lovers, because in a Barnes & Noble or a Books A Million or something, of course they like books, they're in a bookstore, but for some reason I just feel like the ones in a used bookstore have like sought out this used bookstore and they are like there because they are committed to books, more so than a new one. So I just think it's a really fun place to go. I look forward to always, like when I go out of town, trying to find like a new used bookstore just to kind of walk around and see what's going on. And I just think it's a really cool place to have in a community. Okay, so those are my 5 reasons that I love used bookstores, and I just think they are a fantastic resource for book lovers everywhere. Let me know if you guys go to your used bookstore near you. I hope you do, and if you don't, if you're kind of scared of using used books, or you kind of think, I don't know, that they're like dirty or like, you know, used, they are, but I really would encourage you to still go to one near you. Just check it out, see what you think, and it will save you a lot of money. So hopefully that helps. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your feelings on used bookstores and new bookstores and all that stuff down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.